All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into something pretty profound. Eckhart Tolle's Practicing the Power of Now. Look, this book is a game changer, but we're going to boil it all down to its core wisdom. Think of this as your practical guide to finding some real inner peace, in this crazy, noisy world we all live in. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, let's just start with a really direct question, one that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. Are you run by your mind? And I mean, really think about that for a second. This isn't some deep philosophical question. According to Tolle, for pretty much all of us, the answer is a big yes. And well, that's the root of almost all of our unhappiness.
All right, so that brings us perfectly into our first section, the mind's constant noise. We're going to talk about that feeling, that universal sense of discontent, maybe a little anxiety that just seems to follow a lot of us around like a shadow.
I mean, think about it. You know that constant background hum in your head? It's like this low-level static, a little bit of worry, some unease, maybe some tension, or even just plain old boredom. It's so persistent that a lot of the time you might not even notice it's there, because it's always there. And Tolle says that incessant mental noise, that's the real source of our suffering.
And this quote from Eckhart Tolle himself just illustrates the problem so perfectly. He says, "Not to be able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction, but we don't realize this because almost everybody is suffering from it." I mean, wow. Think about that. It's become so normal, so completely normalized, that we just kind of assume this is how life is supposed to feel. We don't even question it. So what's actually driving all this noise? Well, Tolle has a name for it, the ego. But hold on, when he says ego, he doesn't mean, being arrogant or having a big head. He's talking about a false, mind-made self. It's like this phantom identity that we build up by unconsciously attaching ourselves to the constant stream of our own thoughts. This ego literally believes it is the thinker, and it needs that nonstop thinking to stay alive. Okay, so if that constant mental noise is the problem, then what's the solution? Well, that brings us to a really simple, but honestly, a life-changing idea in our second section. You are not the thinker. This is it. This is where the path to real freedom actually starts. And you know what? The first step is surprisingly simple, but it is so profound. Freedom begins the second you realize you are not the thinker. You are not that voice in your head. Just knowing that, just having that awareness, starts to switch on a higher level of consciousness. And the goal here isn't to force your thoughts to stop. That's impossible. It's just to see them for what they are. Just thoughts.
So how do you actually do that? You do it by becoming what Tolle calls the watcher. This is that witnessing presence that's just behind your thoughts. Think of it as your deeper, true self, the part of you that can just observe all the mind's activity, like watching clouds go by, without getting tangled up in it, and this is crucial, without judging it.
Now, this ability to watch our thoughts, it leads us straight to the absolute core teaching of the entire book. In Section 3, we're going to talk about the real key to all of this, accessing the power of now.
Okay, so Tolle makes this absolutely brilliant distinction, and it's super important to get. On one hand, you've got psychological time. That's the mental chaos of obsessing over the past and stressing about the future. That's where all the anxiety and suffering comes from. But then you have clock time, which is just a tool. It's practical. It's how we set appointments and plan our day. The big problem? Most of us are completely trapped in psychological time 24/7.
And Tolle's advice here is about as direct as it gets. He says, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. I mean, it's so simple when you think about it. The past is just a memory trace in your mind. The future is just a projection. The only real thing, the only place your life ever actually happens is right here in the now. That's literally it.
Now, I know this might sound like a pretty radical idea, but just follow the logic for a second. See, problems need psychological time to exist. You're either worrying about something that might happen, or you're regretting something that did happen. But Tolle asks this amazing question. What problem do you have right now, in this exact second? Not in an hour, not tomorrow, but right now. Almost always, the answer is none. In the now, there aren't problems. There are just situations you either deal with or accept.
Okay, so that all sounds great, right? But how do we actually do it? Let's get super practical. This brings us to Section 4, Simple Practices for Presence. We're going to give you some real, tangible tools you can start using, like today. All right, this is the core exercise. It's called Watching the Thinker. Step 1. Just start listening to that voice in your head,
Really pay attention, especially to the repetitive thoughts, the ones that play on a loop. Step 2, as you listen, just be there as that witnessing presence we talked about, the watcher. Step 3, and this is so important, do not judge or condemn what you hear. Just let it be. And pretty soon, you'll start to notice something amazing. A thought will end, and for a moment, there's a gap, a little space of no mind. That's it. That's the peace you're looking for.
And the best part is, you don't have to go sit on a meditation cushion for an hour to do this. You can practice it literally anywhere, anytime. So for example, the next time you're just walking up some stairs, try to pay close attention to every single step. Feel the muscles in your legs. Or when you wash your hands, really feel the warm water. Hear the sound it makes. The whole idea is to take any routine activity that you normally do on complete autopilot and just give it your fullest attention. That is the practice.
So how do you know if you're making progress? How do you know if it's working? Well, it's not about trying to have zero thoughts. That's not going to happen. The only real way to measure your success, according to Tolle, is just by the degree of peace you feel inside. That's your barometer. As you start to feel that inner peace grow, even just a little bit, you know you're on the right track. You know you're becoming more present.
And we're going to end with one last really powerful question for you to think about. See, your story is just that collection of thoughts, all the memories from the past, all the projections about the future that you believe make up the person you call me. Tolle's whole teaching is an invitation to just step outside of that story for a moment. So the question is, who would you be without your story?